Hello and welcome to the That's So Craven podcast, your one-stop shop for all things Fulham. Well, we got an action-packed action-packed show today because we've had about 3 games in the space of, well, what feels like it's going to be, well, it will be a week, basically. But a lot to unpack from the Cup. I don't really want to go into Newcastle too much, but I feel like I have to just because, Michael and myself were there, so I think there's some things we need to talk about there. But, and then we have an absolute make-or-break game coming up this weekend. But, as you can probably tell, I can't do this all on my own. So I am joined by two of the kind of members of that So Craven team who, quite frankly, I wouldn't want anyone else here this evening. So there you go. I'm going to say it. Take that, whoever is listening who should be on the show, and that's probably just aimed at Dave, to be honest. But yeah, I am joined by, and I love the fact that there's a nickname here that's going to stick, the Traveller, Michael the Traveller. Traveller Mike. How are we doing this evening?
Yeah, I've already said before I'm not keen on the nickname that Dave gave to me, but I'm here for Dave, obviously, because Dave is recovering because he ventured out to an away game for once, and he's now
He's probably jet lagged, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he went all the way to Wickham from his home in Buckinghamshire somewhere. So yeah, he's got his feet up and kicking back after that long journey for him. So I'm stepping into his shoes this evening.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much for joining me. And well, to be honest, I would actually class this person as the traveller of the group, not because he's the only immigrant, but also because, do you know what, I've been lining that up since I was making dinner today. But not only because he is the only immigrant that joins us for games, but also every time we mention Mark, you free for a pod, Mark, you free to come to the game. Nope, I'm in Hong Kong. Nope, I'm in Switzerland. Nope, he is the traveller. So welcome, Traveller 2. Mark, how we doing, Mark?
Thanks so much, Skibby. I'll take that. It's only 4.5 years until I get my ILR and I can become a proud, resident of this great country if the subsequent government will allow it. But yeah, very, very happy to be here. Unlike Dave, I have not yet been to my first away game, which is embarrassing, but that is getting sorted out this year. Maybe a London one, maybe something even further than London. So very, very excited to give that a try. But always there for the home games as a season ticket holder in the Johnny Haynes stand. Always proud to be part of the Fulham crew. And we have a lot to discuss, so let's get to it.
Awesome, absolutely. And I know, Mark, you were itching to talk about this off air, but I do have beer, and I'm not the only one. So, Mark, have you got a beer of choice this evening?
I do indeed. This one's an unusual one. This one was brought to me by a mate who has a holiday home in Palma in Spain, and it's called Solerica. It's a second IPA. It's quite easy drinking. It's very nice. That's for me.
Very nice. And Mark, have you got a tipple at hand? I mean, it helps you through the podcast, I have to admit, on the After Dark ones.
Yeah, no, I'm just on the water, I'm afraid. But, sorry. Although it is in a Kronenberg 1664 glass, which was stolen from a pub, probably by my mum years ago. So thanks, Mum, for the glass. But yeah, sorry, I'm letting the side down a bit.
That's all fine. We just like drinks in that. We just make sure that everyone's hydrated. Well, Mark, the reason, and I will get to Fulham in a minute, but the reason I didn't show this is because I'm so proud of it. This is what I got when I went to New Zealand. So it's a ceramic stein from the Green Dragon. And if for any nerds out there who are like me, you can keep your fancy ales, you can drink them by the flagon, but the only brew for the brave and true comes from the Green Dragon. It's from Lord of the Rings. So there you go.
That's awesome.
But it's very sad that it is actually just a punk IPA from Brewdog, but there you go. But it's a nice ceramic stein, so cheers. Well, we did have a game yesterday. It feels like, well, no, it was 2 days ago. But it was such a boring game that I'm really struggling to get the words out. But you know what? I'm going to come to you, Mark. On paper, before the ball is kicked, we all had certain expectations, right? What were your expectations?
My expectations have been greatly tempered because every time we've had a side that are, not to disrespect them, but they have been lower league opposition, right? I'd say we'd flatten them. Bristol City a little bit less so, but I thought that would be a 3-0. I thought Cambridge would be a 4-0. So by the time we got to Wickham, which was a fantastic draw for us, I was like, yeah, we're probably going to limp over the line yet again. And true to form is what we did just about enough to get it done. So, that's a positive. I'd much rather win than lose. But my God, we always make a meal out of it. And we can talk about the game, but I think later on it'll be also super interesting to talk about players. Because I think there are certain players that actually stood out and shone, maybe some unsung heroes. And there's certain players that, it's been said in the Discord as well, great place for you guys to sort of meet other fans and talk to each other and banter. But there's also some players, I think, who are being scapegoated. And that was a really valid point raised on Discord. But yeah, we muddled through. Happy we made it through. The next match is going to be a hell of a lot tougher. But let's get into it.
Nice. And I guess, so Mike, obviously, you took the long trip, made sure Dave could find, wasn't getting too homesick, being too far away from home. I mean, going into the game, we had our thoughts about what team will he put out. I mean, in our minds, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were thinking that Raul can't be played, right? We have to go for Adama up front like we did against Villa, or, Kusiasare, and give him a run out against the League One opposition who, let's be honest, not exactly setting the league alight in the lower leagues there. But to see Raul start, was that something where you thought, this is written in the stars that he's going to come out injured?
I mean, yeah, it's sod's law, isn't it? But I felt that we would go strong from the beginning just because the run that we're on at the moment suggests that, we just need to get a win and get one somewhere. As much as we've not had the start to the season that people have wanted, we are still, in the latter stages of the League Cup, and it's important to progress. So I kind of always felt that we would play probably a stronger team than would be necessary if this had been a draw that we got in, say, August, where, things are still looking a bit rosier. So, the Raul question in particular, I did think that he would start, but of course you're always worried when, the rumours are that he's not training at the moment. He is literally just going game to game, kind of in the Ledley King fashion from back in the day, where he basically just got wheeled out for the matches and then put in some sort of hydration chamber or something like that for the midweek training period. But I kind of felt like we did need to go strong, and then of course had the worst possible start. Just when confidence is low, the last thing you need is somebody that used to be on your books banging one in from outside the box, because not only was it a bit of a slap in the face that it was a former player, but it was also somebody shooting from distance. And it's something that we don't seem to like doing ourselves, but we seem to concede every time somebody does have a shot from distance. Hell of a strike, fair play to Woodrow. It's a nice goal from him, but it was just not the start that we wanted at all.
No, and I think, do you know what? If it was anyone, I was kind of glad it was Cauley Woodrow, just because I can't remember the year exactly, but I remember watching the Fulham youth players. They played in like the Dallas Cup. I don't know if you remember this. And I remember Cauley Woodrow scoring, I think it was something like 6 goals in the group phase or something. And he was, and I weirdly took a bit of interest and was watching, I think every game was on YouTube, and he just looked so good as an upcoming number 9. And you just thought, this kid is probably going to, burst onto the scene and really just banging goals for fun. And unfortunately, it just never really worked out. And I think he sort of left the club as we got relegated, which I think would have been a perfect kind of fit for him to sort of go in. I think he was in the youth team at the same time as Moussa Dembele. And they were just scoring for absolute fun. But, and yeah, like you say, edge of the box, for some reason for us, it's just always goal bound. Doesn't matter who we've got. Obviously, doesn't matter who we've got in goal, because obviously Lecompetent took a stead from Leno there and was beaten. But a slap in the face, not what you wanted when we were low on confidence. But I think I mean, is it harsh to say, Mark, that after we're going 1-0 down, we didn't really provide the response that everybody was expecting? Like, I for one, was expecting us to really be peppering the goal, having those kind of pot shots and working the space. But we just seem to be a bit toothless. We just seem to be, getting within the final third, but credit to Wickham that they were sort of containing us very well. But at the same time, just nothing was really happening, was it?
Yeah, completely agree. There were a couple of chances. Adama, who I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later, got some good crosses in the box. There was a free header for Raul. He did all right there. Castagna had a chance as well. But in general, I think it's always going to be difficult against these teams that, for them, this is their cup final. They're playing a Premier League team at home. They're going to do everything they can to frustrate us, and they did a half-decent job. But at the same time, it's the same old story, isn't it? Like, everything's great until the final third, and then something's overhit, or we have no runners into the box for the cross, or there just seems to be miscommunication. We're misfiring there. And it's a real shame because when a Silva team all comes together, we can put 3 past Liverpool. And not this season's Liverpool, which doesn't seem to mean a whole lot, but last season's Liverpool, which is much more impressive. So, yeah, I mean, we have the pieces, we have the ability, but it's just not clicking. And you really hope that these are the matches where, yes, we might rotate a little bit, but these are the matches where I would really love for us to put on an exhibition, especially when, the bus stop boys have put 3 past their opposition, and we're sort of still struggling just to get our one, which I'm sure we'll touch on later, but it was a moment of individual brilliance, and we can't keep relying on that. We have to be able to score I don't want to call it, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say lucky goals, but just the plan needs to work, and it doesn't seem like the plan is working.
I think there's an element there, though, because, I mean, I've been, I don't know about anyone else, but I love to watch, like, the Premier League years, the Premiership years on Sky Sports, and go back to, the late 2000s Premier League, even into the early 2010s. And, you talk about, or you listen to Marco and Guardiola and all these new breeds talking about, having patterns, passing patterns and build-up patterns and things like that. But you watch some individual brilliance in these earlier years, and sometimes I feel like you've just got to let them get on with it. I think we're just over-analysing and overthinking certain things. Like, we're playing against Wickham, right? We've got, Kevin on the pitch. You've got Adama on the pitch, Raul on the pitch, who's Mexico's all-time top goal scorer or whatever. Like, just let them play. Like, you could just let them turn up against these guys' sides in League One, and they would just... I can't imagine any team in League One has the amount of tactical knowledge or plays that we try, and yet can stick 4 or 5 past Wickham on a Saturday and just go, oh, well, that was good, just because, we've got a number 9 who knows where the back of the net is. It just feels like we're overcomplicating it. And like you say, for me, in that first half especially, Adama just stood on the ball. He would get in a couple of crosses, but he just slowed everything down. But then when we did kind of, in that first half, when we did get behind the defence, nobody crashes the box. Nobody follows them in. And it just seemed like they were just on their own. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the first half. And then, Mike, the weirdest sub happened that changes the game, which is Sessegnon on for Cuenca, moves Bassi into centre-back, and then suddenly we seem really attacking and really have a bit of intent down that left-hand side. And I think that's where kind of the corner comes from and the actually goal comes from as well.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So Sessegnon came on at half-time, and I felt that in the first half, our fullbacks in particular weren't offering that support in attacking positions. I think obviously Bassi, when he's playing at left back, it isn't really his strength, although we have seen him go on the occasional marauding run. He's not somebody who's going to get high up the pitch, stay high up the pitch and link moves together, whereas Sessegnon coming on, he basically played as a second left winger for a lot of the game, and his link-up play with Kevin and then Iwobi as he came on later in the game was where we were making our best inroads, it felt. But yeah, that run that he made that helps drag another defender away just allowed us to play at a bit more of a pace that is actually going to break down these sides. I felt, as you say, in the first half, it was too slow, it's too stodgy. Sometimes we don't move the ball quickly enough to make the most of the openings when they present themselves. Second half, the tempo was upped, and it paid dividends straight away, really, in the goal coming from the corner.
And what was your view like from the goal from the corner? Was it
were you
on the
really
right
good,
side
actually.
of the post?
No, so we were like right behind the actual goal, so probably
Okay.
in line with where King connects with the ball. It was one of those ones that you could tell in real time that it was a hell of a finish, but seeing it back, the technique that he uses to kind of connect with the ball, because let's face it, I don't think that the delivery is designed to pick him out with that specifically, but the fact that King is getting wrestled by a defender who's a lot taller and probably a lot stronger than him, King does really well to sort of resist that and get a great touch on the ball, and it's too quick for the goalkeeper to react. So and the nice thing was as well, because there was no VAR, I think, in the League Cup, they couldn't find a reason to take it off him. So brilliant. King's finally got his first goal for us. And there was no bastard in VAR looking for somebody who'd done something wrong, somewhere to take it off him again. So yeah, really pleased for Josh King. He's deserved that, and it's been a long time coming. But hopefully, it's the first of many in a Fulham shirt.
And it's interesting you mentioned about VAR, because if you actually break that goal down from a ref's point of view, if anything, there's going to be a penalty in there somewhere, because that defender is just all over King, and he just. Fair play to him, 5'7" of him to sort of take it, still get to where he needs to be and turn it in. But I mean, I think from that perspective, I mean, Mark, given the controversies that have kind of overshadowed, I would say they have overshadowed his performances, because whenever I look at Twitter and things like that, King has been labelled a bit of a diver, goes down a bit soft, picking up those yellow cards for simulation. And I guess he's proven a point there a little bit, hasn't he, where he's stayed on his feet and he's got the goal and got the rewards. And I think that's a bit of a two fingers up to fans that say that he is a bit soft, can't really take the physicality, and it just looks to dive, right? I think that was something that he made a statement.
I don't know where he's gotten this reputation from. I think it's just a series of bad refereeing decisions. Obviously, I'm a Fulham fan. Obviously, I'm going to probably be quite biased, especially because King is a slight lad, right? He's an academy product. He's done really well, really skillful, but he's small, so you kind of want to give him more protection. And he's gotten 2 yellow cards, both for simulation, which ridiculous. But yeah, I'm glad he stayed on his feet. But I really think it's because we're Fulham that we get this. I don't think Salah gets this for simulation if he does exactly the same run. I don't think Saka gets it. So I'm not going to go on a rant here, but I do think sometimes the fan base being perhaps a bit more reserved and polite than other fan bases and just sort of going along with these decisions haven't really helped. But, really pleased for King. He got the goal. He was an absolute professional. I mentioned on social media, he scores a high skill move. You can see the passion in the celebration. And then 3 seconds later, ball back to kick off. And we go again. Love that. So very, very impressive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just before we sort of touch on to the next sort of phase of the game, Josh King picks up probably one of my favourite yellow cards, and you probably guessed it's one of my favourite yellow cards because I haven't shut up about it since. But an absolute belter that of our very own Stefan Johansson would be proud of. Midfielder picks it up. He's driving into our half. King says, "Not on my watch," and trips him up. I mean, Mike, that's got to be something. What was the reaction from the crowd from that? Was there kind of a heart in mouth thinking, "Oh God, has he just studded him in the back of the calf," or was it jubilation of cheers of absolute shithousery from one of our own?
I'd say more of the latter. I think, to be fair, it was the kind of thing where actually the amount of times that we let teams get too far high up the pitch against us without just making a cynical challenge and bringing someone down, taking the yellow and giving them the free kick on the halfway line. It was nice to see a bit of, gamesmanship from such a young player. It wasn't the most subtle of challenges. Maybe he needs to watch some of Fernandinho's old clips to see how to get away with yellow cards for tripping somebody when they're countering on us. But needs must, and fair play to him. I've seen that there's been a bit of overreaction in certain elements of social media, as in it was a red. It's a yellow. It's nothing more than that, and fine. I think, as Mark touched on as well, maybe this sort of reputation of him being a diver or somebody that goes easily might be something that he's looking to shake quite quickly. And actually, if he builds up a bit of a reputation as being somebody who's robust, that will pay off in the long run when he does get sized down in the box. We saw that one, I think it was early in the season at Brighton, where he was fouled, but it's just not enough apparently for a penalty. But outside the box, that probably gets given. I think if he earns that reputation a bit more as being somebody that stays on his feet and is a bit more resilient, then when he does get chopped down, like he inevitably will, because he's such a diminutive talent that he's got those quick feet that he can get away from people, he will draw more fouls. Somebody like Jack Grealish, for example, is really good at buying a foul. We kind of need King to maybe hone that into his game as he gets older and more mature, and that will pay off in the long run. So, but yeah, with the tackle, brilliant. Love to see it. Who doesn't love a bit of shithousery when it's your player doing it?
No, for sure. And yeah, Coleman's made a great point in the chat, which is as soon as the Wycombe players were rushing the ref, looking to get a red card, I mean, Issa Diop just steps in, tells him to, tells King to go one way, and he just handles the rest. And I thought that was really good leadership. I don't think there's probably really any other player in our squad who is kind of the man mountain. Maybe Berger, Lukic, but I don't think Lukic was on the pitch at this point. But and Berger obviously wasn't. But I just don't think there is anyone who has that kind of mentality, that physicality, who will have that leadership quality to really protect someone. And I think that was really cool from Mr. Diop. And you know what, he's been impressing me recently. It's always hard for him to sort of just come in when Anderson can't play. Then seems to play reasonably well, like doesn't put a foot wrong. And as soon as Anderson's ready again, I'm sure he'll be out. So that's a comment there for Issa. But I think after that moment, we really kind of tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Iwobi comes on centrally, so Kevin stays on, and Lukic comes on just to sort of shore it up. But he's a bit more of he's just levels above Reed, unfortunately, in this day and age. And then minutes later, what we feared became reality. Mark, Raul has a little bit of a look and says, my side hurts, and Kusiasare has to be thrown in, who Marco absolutely loathes, but he put him in anyway. I mean, was there a moment there where you thought this kid? I mean, actually, let's go further than that, further into the game. What was your reaction to how the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes of Kusiasare's game against Wycombe?
I don't mind him. I know we don't have the whole story. It is insane to me. Going even further back, it's insane to me that we started Raul. Yes, we need to do well in this cup game. I get it. But, I mean, it's almost like you're trying to cut it both ways. It's like, we need to put out a strong side. That's why we're starting Raul. But our midfield is going to be Reed and TC. Like, what? So it's either a strong side or it's not a strong side. You can't sort of pick and choose. So that confused me. I would really rather he didn't start. He did. He got injured. Kusiasare came on. I thought he made some intelligent runs. I thought he put himself about a little bit, caused some trouble. Almost got I don't know if it was Castagna or Dama. Someone put a ball in the box. He almost got a flick on the end of that. Yeah, and that would have been really exciting. I just want this kid to have a fair shot. Like I said, we don't know the whole story, but Bayern seem to value him. They value him enough to give him a new contract before they send him to us, right? And to probably put the option to buy him at 20 or some reasonably high figure.
I think it's
not
like
to
14.
Say easy answer to our prayers. 14?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, but the point is we need.
But
to
they have a buyback
play.
as well, so.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. I think I'd like to think there's something there, but we can't tell until we see him play more. And what is it doing to his confidence and attitude if Adama is going to start over him? You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, at that age, let's be candid, guys. If you're 18 years old, you grew up in a tough neighborhood, and then you get signed on by Bayern Munich, and then some manager doesn't play you in a mid-table Premier League team, you're probably pretty pissed off at that point. So, yeah, let's see how it plays out. But I was really rooting for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think the only thing to sort of water it down a little bit is just that he only turned 18 in July, so he's very fresh, very new, brand new to the league. But I do feel like he's built like, if you look at Romelu Lukaku back in the day, when he started at Chelsea, just come over from Anderlecht, he just looks so similar in terms of stature. He'll throw himself about, he'll be a nuisance, but yeah, he might not be the finished article. I'm far from it, and I don't think anyone expects it. But I think if you threw him in, no one will berate Marco for it because it's the only striker he's got. Yeah, he'll take up and some. He's 6'4", 6'5". You know, it may take one defender, maybe even two, to try and, if we keep lobbing balls up, to try and beat him to the header. So that draws people out of the game. Where if you sort of surround him, you might actually get some rewards out of it. But hey, that's another story. I mean, we'll probably go into that when we talk about Wolves in a minute. But I guess, Michael, come back to you then. So those changes were the sort of the last changes before the end of the 90. Did you feel like a goal was coming, or did you feel like this had penalties written all over it?
No, I kind of felt like we'd make chances, and the longer the game went on, obviously, Wickham are going to get tired. They're clearly sitting in, and their best chance of getting a result once we equalised was getting to penalties. And I felt like we were making enough inroads and enough chances and some better finishing, maybe a bit more composure, or just, as I've alluded to before, just taking a shot on. Sometimes we were trying to be a bit too precise and actually having a dig from a distance or an angle can sometimes,
which I think we did, didn't we?
A little bit more. I kind of felt like there was two efforts from outside the box, one from Kenny and one from Kevin, that were kind of straight down
both straight at keeper.
Yeah. So those aren't going to cause a competent keeper too much trouble. And I felt that we would, as I say, we were sort of making inroads, but without really peppering the goal, if you like. It's not like their keeper had loads of difficult saves to make, but we were putting them under a lot of pressure. I think there was a chance for King late on when he sort of swiveled, like, first touch brilliant, second touch kind of just dragged it.
That diagonal ball from Iwobi again was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's what Iwobi's really good at, and sometimes you just need to bring on that quality to get the job done. I think if we'd have been, cruising at 3-0 up or something, we wouldn't have seen Iwobi. We wouldn't have needed to. But we found ourselves in a position where we are needing to kind of throw the kitchen sink at it a bit. I thought Kevin was unlucky at the end with that effort that got cleared off the line. That's one of those ones where he sort of tried to kind of pass it in, and sometimes actually you just kind of need to lash it around the midriff sort of height so that it could get a deflection, or it's not as easy to kind of a defender to sort of compose themselves and get themselves into a position to make the clearance. But we did enough to win that game, even though we weren't at our best. So then when it goes to penalties, you're always sort of fearing the worst. And especially sort of after hearing that our neighbours down the road had won comfortably, you're thinking, don't get knocked out. Like, it just, don't, at least just get through, just get the job done. So even if it needs penalties, then so be it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, penalties. So, I mean, with Raul off the pitch, I think he's normally our penalty taker. I can't think of who else takes them. I think Berger has in the past, but no surprise to me that Lukic stepped up. But I think the real hero that we found from this penalty shootout was really Benjamin Lecompetent. Like, second string keeper. I think it was his second game, if I'm not mistaken. But for him to pull off some saves, which Leno has a bit of a reputation where we just didn't save any penalties for a long, long time. To come in and save 3 penalties was mind-blowing, and actually some pretty difficult saves. I mean, Mark, how did you rate Lecompe's kind of performance in that penalty shootout?
Look, guys, I'm going to be honest. I always knew he was going to save pretty much all of
I
them.
thought you were about to say it. I'm going to be honest, I didn't see it. Turned it off. Fuck this shit.
Little dig at me there, but I'll take it. That's fair. After
You're very fickle, Mark.
I was saying, after he's faced down Karim Benzema and saved one of those, nothing else has got to be scary for Lecompe. And I wasn't expecting 3, but definitely that first save, he says it himself in social media when he gets interviewed on it, that first save has got to be devastating for Wickham and such a motivator for us. I think that was huge, and that cheered me right up as well. So yeah, he did a really good job. I think he almost got one more, he says, so I need to watch them back. But 3 saves.
I think the second one, he goes the right way and it goes under his arm, I think. So he nearly got 2 in a row. Yeah. Which would have been even more devastating.
Yeah.
But
a great keeper,
no, fantastic. And I mean, do you know what I found really humbling? Or not humbling, but refreshing to see from him was, Fulham now do this legend of the match. I think they've just taken away man of the match, but legend of the match. And he was just like, oh, cool. Well, this is for me? And he's so surprised. And everyone's like, yeah, you get to keep that. He's like, oh, my son will be so happy. And they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty nice. But no, it was a fantastic performance. And like you say, it puts us off on the right foot to gives us that immediate advantage for us to Lukic, Traore, Kevin, and Iwobi all step up and score. And leaves it to Ryan Sessegnon to win it for Fulham. You must have thought it was written in the stars in the bag there, Mike, right?
I mean, you'd love it to be someone like Sessegnon to score the winner. So that's a very sort of Fulham thing to do, as in like, oh, here's a chance for somebody that we all love to be a hero, and it's not a great penalty, to be fair, is it? So,
do you reckon he asked to be 5th?
I don't know.
He wants it all about me.
Yeah, I don't think he quite did the Ronaldo thing, which when Ronaldo said I wanted to go 5th and then Portugal lost, and he didn't even get to take one because they missed too many beforehand. So not that we not that you like to see that kind of thing, but of course, but yeah, it was a shame for Cess, but it would have been worse if we'd have lost because of that, or that was if Wickham had scored their 5 before, and that kind of finishes the game there and then. So it's difficult when you've got that kind of squad on the pitch, and obviously we've not got that much depth. I can't imagine that Cess is probably high up the list of penalty takers anyway. So you're kind of in the lap of the gods there a little bit. But fair play to all of the boys that did take a penalty, because they probably, I'd be surprised if they practiced them, because they were probably thinking that they were going to get the job done. But you never know. It was up to Lecomte again to sort of bail us out for a second time after that.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at some of the names that were on the pitch at the time with, I think, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Castagna took one.
No, he didn't.
And Bassi. And yet, 18-year-old, clearly been in the press of, I don't think you're ready, steps up. And I think that is a real token of character. I know there was a lot of people that sort of said on social media, which I take with a pinch of salt anyway, because everyone just loves to complain on social media that he doesn't look interested. But for him to step up and say, I want to take one, and do so ahead of like cemented first team players, that shows me what he's made of. Yeah, it didn't work out for Kusiasara, he missed, but I think just to take one is bigger stones. I think, if anything, I thought Castagna would be up there, being, international player, same with Bassi. But after Lecomte's heroics, it came down to the lad I mentioned earlier, Issa Diop, doing his best Harry Maguire impression of just going, "Oh yeah, don't worry, boys, I'm just going to put this top bins. It's fine." A fantastic penalty to win it. But then I also found that it was interesting that after the kick goes in, it's kind of like a loose way, and the players just kind of walk up to Lecompetent to thank him and congratulate him and be like, yeah, and celebrate. It seemed like a bit of an empty victory. It felt almost like a kind of pre-season friendly at times when they just go, oh yeah, we won that. All right, we're through. Let's go. But I mean, after the final whistle, Mike, was it pretty flat or just pretty much like a relief?
I think relief's probably the word more. I think that at times during the game, the atmosphere was sort of threatening to turn, particularly on certain individuals. So I think at the end of the game, it was relief to get through. I'm glad, to be honest, that we didn't over-celebrate. The celebration police would have been out in force if we'd have, all gone running to D-up and, So there's a level of, expectation within the team. And I think that they realised that it wasn't up to scratch, but we got over the line. And it was almost a bit... They were more interested in kind of commiserating the Wickham players who, had given us a good test and really dug in. So, there is a bit of credit that needs to go to Wickham as well. So, I don't mind the reaction overall. And I think, to be fair, actually, our fans actually gave both Woodrow and Jack Grimmer a nice ovation at the end as well. Obviously, because we got through. I think if we hadn't have, that wouldn't have materialised. But, it's the kind of thing where the fan base knew that wasn't really a great performance, but we're actually pleased to get through and went home happy enough, but knowing that, more is needed if we're going to get ourselves out of this slump that we're in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's it. We are in the draw. We were in the draw. The draw happened. And lo and behold, they pulled out Mark's first away game of the season. A Wednesday night up at St James's Park. Well done, Mark. What a fan.
Wow. It kind of put me on the spot there. Apparently only 2 hours and 51 minutes from King's Cross if you're using the LNER. So we'll see. But I don't know if I want to travel 6 hours to see Fulham play a second.
I was going to say 5 hours drive for me. It was good. Like I said to a lot of people, the weekend just gone, if I didn't have 2 nights out of hitting bars and having a great time with some friends and the missus, then it would have been a complete waste of time. But it was great. But yeah, I don't think I could do it on a Wednesday night. I'm not that kind of guy. But Mikey, are you eyeing this one up? Are you getting that flight up from Heathrow?
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure I've got those 140 steps in me again. But yeah,
the fact that they have chairs halfway up, that made me laugh the most. I don't know if you saw them, but there's like actual swing chairs where you can just have a breather for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's necessary. It's probably they should also have some like oxygen tanks there as well, just in case you need a little bit to.
Actually, did you use the stairs or did you have the lift?
No, because of my injury that I'm apparently milking, according to Dave. That I did use the lift, but I have done the stairs in previous years. So and hopefully by the next time that we go up there in 6 weeks' time, then I should hopefully be back ready to tackle those stairs again.
Lovely. Well, there you go. And I mean, just before we move on, winnable game, Mark?
Every game is a winnable game for us.
That's
my official stance. My unofficial stance is there's certain teams we don't tend to do that well against. But I know Newcastle are a bigger club, and I know they've got some great signings, but to a degree, they kind of limped past us last game. It wasn't ultra convincing. Yeah, they had a couple of good one-on-ones. Murphy's second chance, and there's probably one or two others that Leno did well. But it was 2-1 in the 90th minute. I don't see a couple of decisions our way, a couple of injuries for them. Maybe it gets competitive. I'd still give it to them on balance, but it's not, it's not the Etihad.
That's true. Mike?
Yeah, we're not favourites, but we've got a chance. We could have done with a home draw, really. If we're going to play another Premier League side, I feel like a home draw would have given us a bit more of a leg up. It's a really tough game, and they'll be bang up for it as well. I feel like the league game, because it had come off the back of a Champions League game, was always one that we would have stood half a chance in, because it wasn't going to be as big a deal for them. Whereas I think a League Cup quarter-final at home, they're going to be right up for it. We found life difficult in the early stages on Saturday against Newcastle, so I would expect the same again. But on the flip side, let's hope that we've got a few more players back out of the treatment room and back available in the squad. That might give us a bit more hope of getting the result that we need up there. And who knows as well, because it goes straight to penalties, so there's every chance. We've actually got quite a good record in penalty shootouts recently. I think we've won our last 4 now. So, there's every chance. I just feel like it would have been nice if, like our lucky bastard neighbours who got Cardiff away, for God's sake, that would have been ideal. But never mind. We'll tackle that one when it comes up in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, I mean, they interestingly do have a bit of fixture congestion around this fixture. So they go away to Leverkusen on the 10th. They then play Sunderland away. I mean, to Dave, that might be a far away game, but to them, it's a local derby. On the 14th. Then they play us on the 17th. And then 3 days later, they're playing at home to Chelsea. So they've got a very packed schedule there. Some tough games coming up. I mean, they might even prioritise the Chelsea league game. But who knows? I mean, it's all to do. And hopefully we get some people back from injury. As the chat says, Muniz back for Newcastle. I hope so. I hope it's not any longer. It's supposed to be November. So God knows what's going on there, but we'll see. But
I think just on the flip side of that, though, Skibby, I think we might lose our Nigerian contingent before we play that game. So
that's fine. We got Cuenca and Kevin. It's fine.
But yeah.
In Cuenca and Kevin, we trust. It's fine. Well, that brings us to our absolute make or break for many reasons. Come on Saturday, a home tie against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who, without absolutely sugarcoating it, are god awful. Therefore, it's written in the stars that they're going to win. So there you go, first win of the season for Wolves. That's it from me. Good night, everyone. But I mean, Mark, it's got to be right. 3 points, can't accept anything less, surely.
1, I agree, but 2, I know.
Don't hesitate. Just say yes.
You're slightly tongue in cheek, but I did say this to my Wolves colleague. Like, if they play,
do you work like one Premier League fan? Is that like one of the
thing? 100%.
I was going to say, is that the interview process at your place of work? Being like, who do you support? Wolves. Oh, I've already got a Wolves fan. You're out. You can only have one fan from each team. That was your birthing story into Fulham. I like it.
It was like this
Took
Polish Japanese guy definitely isn't a Fulham fan, and I got them there. But no, look, if they play the way they played against Chelsea, and I know it's a second string Chelsea, but with grit and fire, I'm a little worried, because it would be so like us to sort of screw it up and have Andre score the winner against us. They're not a bad side. I mean, okay, I don't know the team super well. I know Jose Sa has had a bit of a shocker, because he was part of that worst 11 playing over 350 minutes. But Jurgen Strand Larsen, he's good. They picked him up on a permanent, and he knows where the back of the net is. Our guys who know the back of the net aren't playing because they're injured. So that's a huge advantage they have. I think they have something to prove. Some of their players have gone out on social media saying, we will do better, we must do better. They're going to see it as their make or break game as well. That's what really worries me. So I think, and other people have said it in Discord as well, we can't afford this very clever adjusting the risk possession. No, we need to hit these guys hard. We need 2 goals in the first 20, 30 minutes. Just have them give up from the go. Because if they get a sniff, I think it's going to be a really, really long and painful game.
And I mean, Mike, we've been there, right? We know at this stage of the season when nothing's going your way, the low confidence really hits you hard. But surely that's something that we should, like, Fulham should capitalise on. Not saying that we're low on confidence. They're low on confidence. We're just a little bit off. But they are like bottom of the pit on confidence. And that is a really hard thing in this sort of league, to get some momentum and pick yourselves up. So surely, from our view, they're for the taking, or do you still have some reservations like Mark?
I mean, I think if we assert ourselves on the game properly, then, regardless of the injuries that we've got, if we make a fast start and play with the intent to win the game, then we can't be making excuses anymore. I think every other fixture so far that we've had this season, there's an argument that the points that we've got is par for the course. We're coming now into a run of games where we should start picking up some points. And the team that are bottom at home, who haven't won a game all season, is as good an opportunity as you will get to get a win. And I feel like we need to take the bull by the horns here and really go after it. Play with that intent, play at a high tempo, and try and take the game to them. Wolves aren't going to come out and go hell for leather at us. They're going to look to try and soak things up and kind of like they did last season. They sort of hit us on the break and then kind of blitzed us in the second half. And even then, that was when I think we'd lost Anderson and already made all of our subs, so we were down to 10 when they scored.
That's right.
A couple late on. So it's the kind of thing where madness can happen in games sometimes, but generally I feel like if we approach this in the right way and we're on the front foot early and play at the tempo and with the quality that we need to get in front, then the onus is on us, but we have got the capability of doing so. I'm not obviously as confident as I would normally be in these kind of games because of the situation we found ourselves in, both with the lack of available players and also the run that we've been on. But that's got to end sooner or later, and this is the perfect opportunity to do that. So I kind of feel like, as much as the performance on Tuesday wasn't great, just stopping the rot was actually, productive in that regard. And I feel like we can really go and, stamp our authority on the game on Saturday and look to get the result to kind of kickstart our season again.
And I mean, from a lineup perspective, I don't think we're going to see any major changes from the back to the front. I think it's going to be just that striker who starts up top. I mean, there's probably going to be a head and heart decision here, but Mark, who do you reckon takes that lone striker spot for us on Saturday?
I think it very much depends on Raul, but if he's out, Adama. I think Silva just absolutely doesn't trust Kusiasare, and he'd probably look for someone other than Adama to take it if even Adama can't take it. So, yeah, I'd say, like you said, the lineup's unchanged, but Adama takes the 9.
And Mike, agree with that?
Maybe a little bit left field, and I could be entirely wrong here. If Raul's fit, Raul starts. If Raul's half fit, Raul starts. If he's not available at all, I could see us going with Kevin and Traore as the wide players, and maybe almost playing Iwobi and King as sort of 2 false 9s, and maybe looking to kind of overcrowd that midfield area. But obviously that leaves us, a bit thin up front, but there's enough quality in those attacking players to, nick a goal. It reminds me a little bit, and I'm going back a few years here, of I dug into the archives and a game that I recalled from years ago when we had a striker crisis back in 2002, and we played Steve Malbronk up front with Boa Morte at home to Leeds United, and we managed to nick a 1-0 win thanks to a Martin Jetu goal. So, I kind of feel like it might be a bit of a random formation, but we could, get over the line because even though it'll be square pegs in round holes, they're still quality footballers who are capable of doing what they need to do to get a result. So that's my kind of left field opinion of a team selection if Raul's not fit. But hopefully Raul is fit, because I don't think he's scored against Wolves since he's come to us. So that's overdue as well.
Yeah, I mean, same goes for Adama, really, as a former Wolves player. For me, I think I still go for that. Kariasu, I've forgotten his name now. Kusiasara. I was just completely mind blanked, even though I've said his name about 10 times this pod. But no, I think I talked about his physique. Like he's uncut diamond. He's really rough, but he's 6'5". He'll bring the chaos. Just get it up to him and pack people around him. Get Lukic around him. Get King around him and the wingers in, and just because I saw against Newcastle, he won like 2 flicks, I think, against which I think would have been Sven. Is it Sven Bender? I think his name.
No, it's probably it was Chiao.
Who's the number 4?
Cher with the back by then.
Was it Xiao?
Yeah, so Tiao started and then Cher came on for Botman because Botman got injured.
Botman, that was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been Cher then. Yeah, he did after that injury. But yeah, I think he was just winning a couple of flicks, and I thought, you know what? Against a depleted Wolves team, low on confidence, I really think that he could make a bit of chaos happen. And you don't need him to score. You don't need him to find the back of the net and be all composed. You just need him to take 2-3 defenders out of the game with his height, with his physical, and just anything can happen from that point. And I just feel like he'll have something to prove. He'll have a bit of hunger about him. When Adama goes up front, it's like, oh, good, we've got the fastest player in the league who is renowned for having this ridiculous strength. What does he do? Oh, he comes short every time and loses the ball because he can't hold it up because he can't pass. And you're like, just get on the last shoulder of the last defender and run. That's all we want of you. But he just doesn't move. So I'd rather have Kusiasare for that. But hey, here we are. I mean, if I had to push you, I know this is going to be picking lottery numbers, but because we have no idea what teams are going to be played. We don't know what kind of Fulham's going to turn up. We don't even know what Wolves is going to turn up. But Mark, your prediction, please.
2-1 Fulham. But it will be tight. I think we should win this. We have to win this. Like you said, they haven't won at all, and they're bottom of the league, and we're at home. Like, we have to win this. Injury crisis or no, Marco's stubbornness or no, we have to win this. So 2-1.
Yep. Cool. Mike?
I think I was going to say the same thing, but I'll go 3-1. I'll go a bit more confident than Mark. So
God knows where those goals are coming from, but I like it.
2 own goals. Our top scorer own goal is going to bang a brace for us.
The prolific own goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're going to pull own goal off the bench, and that'll be that'll be our match winner. So.
What a signing!
Oh, I think this has got 1-1 on it. I think it's going to be a draw. It's going to be boring. It's going to be terrible. And I'm going to be very disgruntled on the way home, I feel. That's where I feel. Colm's gone 2-1. So it seems like everyone seems to be in that 2-1 camp. So, I mean, the fact that we can't keep a clean sheet against Wolves annoys me already. But we'll see. We will see.
We just don't keep clean sheets, though. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It seems to be always good. Like, the thing is, I mean, going back to the Newcastle game, like, for goodness sake, as much as Newcastle had plenty of chances in that game, the 2 goals come from 2 individual mistakes from a player that doesn't really make that many individual mistakes. So it's, and from obviously, Skibby, you were there as well. From our vantage point, that second one, as soon as he gave it away, even though there's still half of the pitch between our goal and where he lost it, you just knew it was going to end up in a goal. And that just feels like what's happening for us at the moment. Anytime we make even a half mistake, it's just ended up in a goal. So, yeah, no confidence in the clean sheet, but hopefully we've got enough at the other end to nick a result.
Beautiful. Well, as many listeners would know, we have a Discord. It's a very happening place, as they would probably say on Scooby-Doo. But with that, we do ask some of our listeners to sort of give us some questions and food for thought almost. And we have a couple tonight. Jimmy D says the January transfer window. We don't typically do that much. Will it be different this season? I've got a short answer, but Mark, we'll go to you.
I can guess what your short answer is. We won't do as much as we'd like. I'd say we're probably going to get linked to 4 or 5 names, even more, some of which are bullshit. We'll get really excited about 2 or 3, and we'll get 1. And we'll be told to be grateful for our 1. I don't even know if it's going to be in a position we need, but that tends to be January as a Fulham fan.
Can't wait for that new right back. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think, to be fair, it'll probably depend on what the manager's situation is by then. If it's no change and he still hasn't signed a new contract, we're not signing anybody permanently. So it'll be a loan deal at best. And I know that Mark is looking forward to the 31st of January when we sign James Ward-Prowse on a 6-month loan deal.
Do you know what? I'd actually welcome that a little bit.
To be honest, I thought of that off the top of my head because obviously as soon as Nuno turned up at West Ham, that was him out of the squad. And
he's done, yeah.
Yeah, he's not. That wouldn't actually be the worst, but it's not really what we're after.
Swap him for Adama because he loves Adama apparently.
To be honest, that's actually one that I think me and Dave were talking about this a few weeks ago. As in, if we can get cash for Adama in January, I'd probably do that. We'll barely get anything for. I mean, obviously he's out of contract in the summer anyway. But you'd like to think if Wilson and Chukwueze are back by then, we could, and hopefully Robinson as well, because then we could play Cess higher up the pitch. We actually would have a surplus of wingers, and Traore is probably the one that we could con West Ham into paying money for. So.
Oh boy, no, that's valid. That's valid. I mean, for me, it's a solid no. I just think. We're already stacked as a squad as it is. Unless we miraculously sell Reed or Kearney or Adama, we have to sell to buy at this point, just because we've got too many players. And I know this has been a very, not sore subject, but a very lively one in our sort of private group chat. But I just feel like we do have depth. We have players. They're not very good. I mean, Reed had his moments. TC, obviously, everyone wants to build a statue, but at the same time, I just feel like we gave him another year because sentiment. But we should have just cashed in, freed up the wage, and brought in someone better, and potentially brought in a starter, and then move Lukic down, move them into sort of the subs bench. But yeah, I just feel like January is going to be a quiet one, especially if, like you say, if there's any uncertainty around Silva, the management aren't going to invest in a squad for a manager who's not going to be here. So, yeah, we'll touch on that. Spanish FFC Ultras, which is our own Steve Reynolds, says, Silva's increasingly arrogant stance in blaming everyone but himself. Is it good for Fulham and the team? Mark?
I don't think it's good for Fulham or the team, is the short answer, or the fans. Not good for anyone, really. I think, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit, the biggest frustration, at least I feel as a fan, that maybe other fans feel as well, is Silva's stubbornness and petulance in terms of selection, in terms of being like, it's ludicrous to play Iwobi 8. Why would you do that? And then he's great at playing the 8, and he's played there for Nigeria and played there before. It's because it's something that, to a degree, we have control over. We don't have control over injuries. We don't have control over VAR. We don't have control over when the signings come in. We're angry that they're late. They're always late. We should have spent more. We should have had them in earlier. But it's done, right? We can't control it. But on a week-to-week basis, Marco can control the lineup. If we have a problem with one of our wingers or one of our midfielders, he can change that, and yet he's very stubborn and refuses to do that. And I think this is where a lot of that tension and frustration comes from, because it's one of the few areas that we do have the ability to change and hopefully see something positive come from, but we're failing to do so. And it seems to be quite obvious to a large part of the fan base, but not to Marco and his team. So that's what I say to that. And the way he communicates, it can come across as confrontational, as petulant, and a bit demeaning. And you're never going to convince anyone to side with you if that's how you speak with them. So probably needs the marketing team and the PR guys to have a quiet word with him, even if he's feeling frustrated.
Anything to add, Mike?
Yeah.
Or your views?
I think it's just a character trait of like elite level managers. I mean, what was it last year? Mikel Arteta was blaming the footballs in the League Cup for swerving too much or something. Arne Slot yesterday said that Liverpool don't have enough footballers to play a match against Crystal Palace. I mean,
after spending 500 million.
Exactly, yeah, and and completely just pilfering our youth system as well. So it's like, I just think that when things aren't going right, managers get a bit tetchy and aren't gonna openly say, yeah, it's all my fault. So I'd take it with a pinch of salt, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is I feel like I'm not expecting him to take responsibility for it. Injuries happen. And I said this to before, obviously not on the pod, but if you had the 5 injuries that we have now in any of our competitive teams, which would be like Bournemouth or Brighton, but at the same level, like, Semenyo goes down with, or Evan Nilsson's down and one of their main central midfielders are down, call it Alex Scott, they would feel it. They would really feel it. And I just think that it is so unlucky, and yet it is very normal for a team of our stature to lose 5 key players and feel it. And I think, okay, you could argue that why don't we have the depth of Arsenal to be able to, Jesus is injured. Oh, don't worry, we're going to put Havertz in. Oh, Havertz is injured. Oh, don't worry, we've got this new £70 million striker. And especially on the wings, just on the left wing alone, if Martinelli goes down, they can put Trossard in. Trossard goes down, they can put Eze in. It's ridiculously stacked. But we're just not that lucky. And I think it is just very unfortunate this time where we have Muniz, Chukwueze, Lukic for a time, who are very sort of key players and very, very good players. Anderson, Jedi being absolutely crucial to the way that we play on the left. Yeah. It's just very unfortunate. It's one of those things. And if Marco said, oh yeah, we've just got a lot of injuries at the moment, but we're trying to get by, I would be ecstatic, because that is exactly what's happened. But he moans and he groans about this and that, and you're just going, well, if you just tackled it in a professional manner like a normal person would. If I went, if I was being overworked or, something along those lines, and I just suddenly started posting on LinkedIn about how shit the management are and all that stuff, I'd get sacked instantly. But it's life. It happens. Things happen. People leave the business, means your work stat goes up, and you just deal with it. And they're thankful you're dealing with it, and at the same time, that you'll reap the rewards from it. But the fact that he's just going for something that's out of his control, out of everyone's control, I just don't get it. And I think that's just, for me, that's what grinds my gears a little bit. It's just, you don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to say it's your fault. You just have to acknowledge what's happening is just out of the ordinary and unavoidable. It's just one of those things. That's my take anyway. But, we'll see. And last but not least, Fulham Fan News, who is very active on our Discord, by the way. So if you like Fulham Fan News and all of their wonderful things they do around the club, join the Discord. Would Yves Bissouma be a good addition? Not getting any game time at Spurs is a very good ball carrier. Mike, I'll come to you. I'll switch it up.
Yes, that's a much better shout than James Ward-Prowse. So, but yeah.
I don't think we can flog Traore to Spurs.
Yeah, no. So Bissouma's a talent. There's questions about his attitude. I think that's why he's really out of the frame at Spurs. I think it's not just Frank that's frozen him out. I think Postecoglou had kind of dispensed with him toward middle of last season, and that was when Spurs were in a terrible run of form, and so it's maybe a gamble worth taking, but I feel like sometimes a disruptive character can do more harm than good. So as a talent, yes. As a character, not so sure. And I'm sure that our wonderful recruitment team will do their due diligence in that regard. But yeah, not a bad shout.
Mark?
Not much more to add than that. I've heard the same thing. Apparently, he's the player that's always late to training, so I don't think that's going to impress Marco too much. Definitely the quality is there, but probably it'll be an Ali Mac special, loan with option.
Oh, you're getting me excited now. Don't say that. Don't say that again. Do love a loan with option. I think it'd be quality. I think there's a player in there. It's just one of those players, isn't it, where he's been written off. Marco gets the best out of him. Come to Fulham, things happen. And also, we've got a bit of an African contingent now. I think he'd fit in quite well. I mean, not just sort of grouping them, but I think that he'd fit in quite well with the Iwobi, Bassi, now Chukwueze. I think that would be really good for him. So it could be work, but I think he's going to be on very high wages because he was a very high profile transfer from Brighton to Spurs. So I think you're looking probably at the north 80 to 110 grand a week. It's going to be an expensive signing, but definitely what we're missing. But I still say that try King in the 8. I think he will be a great fit, and we don't need to buy anyone else to fit that bill. Very good. Well, that's all the questions. We've got nothing else in the chat for now, which is good. So it's all gone quiet. So I think we're all done. Unless anything else from Michael, anything else you want to quickly shout out? Shake of the head.
Not from me, thank you, Skip.
All good here.
I was going to say, Mark, you look deep in thought, but I'll take that as a no.
There's a rant brewing in Mark's head, but he's going to save that for a later day.
I've triggered something. I'm sure I'll hear about it at the pub on Saturday. I'm guessing we're all going.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, lovely. We'll enjoy that together. Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for the guys that joined live. And as I mentioned before, join the Discord. That's where we all are very active and love to chat all things Fulham. And there is a lot of different kind of chats, especially after a game as well. That is getting really interesting. Not that we're going to get into it right now, but I did see a few messages about, are we missing Andreas Pereira? And that's gone straight to my heart. There's Mark's rant face. For those that are listening, he's like taking a tricky shit. Well, thank you very much for listening. Common You Whites on Saturday, and I'm going to pick out on Mark to give us a You Whites as we leave. Thank you very much.
You are.